Jessica Blank and Eric Jensen, after attending a death penalty conference, started doing research on people on death row who had been exonerated. From 40 interviews, they picked out 6 of the more profound cases. They wrote a play based on the personal experiences, the court records, and media accounts surrounding their stories, which became The Exonerated.
Poetic Justice Project was born in prison. I was running the arts program at the California Men's Colony, and we did original theater every year, and it was really a powerful tool for inmates who were looking to, I think, set a new path. And we started in the beginning of 2009. Our vision is unlocking hearts and minds with old original theater. And our mission is to create social change by educating audiences about incarceration, rehabilitation, and reentry, and empowering people, formerly incarcerated people, to reintegrate into their communities in a positive, creative way. You know, whenever you engage the imagination and the creative soul, something happens to people and they want to keep doing it. So I, wished I could send people paroling to this similar program on the outside so they could keep going. And there wasn't one, so I decided to start it.
Since all the actors in Poetic Justice have had a close personal experience with the criminal justice system, the production seemed a perfect fit. The cathartic value of ex-cons telling the stories of the exonerated seemed all that more poignant. Jorge Manliguil's role was a challenging one to undertake.
All I got to do is pick up the paper, turn on the news, and such becomes a 222nd inmate executed, resulting from capital punishment. And I hear the name, and I say, oh my God, because I know him. I mean, I don't just know him, I ate with him. I cried with him.
Trying to make things right, and making up for my past, and so I did lots of responsible things, and I've really become aware of the power of the arts. I mean, for me, what was appealing about the arts is just that it was fun, it's beautiful, it's stimulating. I didn't realize it could be a tool for transformation. The social justice or just the and recovery aspect, and it's the arts. It's just a real building consciousness.
And so he started drinking. The guy had it all, man. He was a senior supervisor in this big corporation company, and he fell into a bottle. He lost his wife, he lost his kids. He'd sit around in a dark room getting drunk and talking about his little brother, why isn't he coming home? He put himself on death row right there with me.
It's accomplishing building awareness and consciousness in the public that we perform for. It's building self-esteem in the cast that joins us. It's deepening an appreciation for the arts for all involved. There's still more to grow and to learn and to accomplish, but I think we can celebrate some achievements.
Roger Brown, who was just released from prison after 34 years, can relate to the character's sense of hopelessness.
I'll say that the first 18 years into my life sentence, I did everything I could to continue to hide from the pain. It came down to the idea where I had to do something to change my life or end it. The idea of ending my life was attractive to me at that point. I had reached my bottom. I had reached such an emotional state that I didn't want to stop living, but I had to stop the pain. I had already been convinced that I was never going to be let out of prison. And so I started to ask myself those pretty tough questions. Are you going to live in prison for the rest of your life? And what are you going to do? I finally turned and started putting the reflection inside, internally. Instead of living in my head, it came down to me just finding the understanding that was more important to me who I was than where I was.
Roger plays a number of the ensemble characters.
Answer me!
As you can see, they are quite different and on the other end of the table from where he once stood. Becky Mills, who plays the part of Sonia Jacobs, who in 1976, along with her husband Jesse, was sentenced to death for the killing of 2 policemen in Florida, relates to her character in many ways.
A new play came up and the part of Sunny touched my heart. I read the script and I knew that I needed to do that part, and I really put a lot of work into it, and it makes me feel like it's touching me. Sunny touched my heart, and I was able to express her story and who she was with true emotion, and I wanted to do the best for her. I wanted to give her story everything it deserved because of everything she had went through. My children grew up without a family, and they executed my husband very, very brutally. His execution was known worldwide. The chair malfunctioned and they had to pull the switch 3 times, and he didn't die. It took 13 and a half minutes for Jesse to die. They had to pull the switch 55 seconds each, almost a minute each. And then his head caught on fire and smoke was coming out of his ears. And the people that were there to see the execution on behalf of the press are still writing about it today, 10 years later. Why do we do that? I want to be a living memorial when I die. I want them to plant tomatoes on my grave or an apple tree or something so I can still be a part of things. And as long as I'm alive, I'm going to plant seeds everywhere I go so I can hear people say, you know, I once heard this woman and she didn't let him stop her and she didn't get crushed. And if that little woman person can do it, then so can I. And that's my revenge. That's my legacy and my memorial. You know, I've never been to my husband Jesse's grave, and that was a bone of contention between his mother and I for a long time. And then I sat down with her and I said, you know, that's not really where Jesse is. That's your monument, and this is mine. My life is my monument. I hope that this reaches out and touches people's hearts about the death penalty, because that is something so permanent, death, and life is so precious. But when you put them to death, there is no, oops, I made a mistake, you know, you can't dig them up and start their lives over again.
And at the trial, they said that I just voluntarily chatted with them for 12 hours. I was never under arrest. And then suddenly, I just blurted out facts that only the killer would have known. I thought, it's no big deal. They go away sometimes. But I got home that night, and they still weren't there, and I was worried about them. I thought, gee, they got in a car wreck. But what do? Call all the hospitals? And I got up in the morning, and I went to call the police. But this guy was walking down the driveway, and he was looking for motorcycle parts. And in the room where I thought I'd find the part, I found my father's body. And my mother's missing. So I called the paramedics, who call the police, who say they suspect foul play. About an hour later, they found my mother in a trailer up front. She'd been killed and covered with pillows and blankets. 2.5 hours after I found my parents, I was arrested. And I've been adamant about them not getting the death penalty.
I don't want to see them die. What good is it going to come from it? It's not going to bring my parents back. About halfway through my time on death row, a lawyer named Larry Marshall decided to take my case on. He's out of Northwestern, and he works with a bunch of law students on wrongful convictions. Once he got started on my case, he found out that there was a motorcycle gang named the Outlaws, and the ATF had been running wiretaps on them. In 1995, the ATF got a wiretap confession of one of the guys that said he'd killed my parents. But I wasn't released till 1996, and then that whole year in between, they were fighting my appeal. They fought it all the way up to Illinois Supreme Court.
Don't you know you're free now? Prison took away that spark for your life, okay. Because in my old pictures from high school, I used to smile a lot. And now that's something people around here don't see me do too much.
And the one come running down at us, they must have fired 18 or 20 bullets during that ruckus, sir. And the two hit me, and then the two hit Comas. And right then I could tell he was dead. And them niggers, they just disappeared.
I didn't know the rules, and they kept talking and threatening me and all that. And I mean, I was afraid. They beat you up, lock you up, hang you up. Nobody else ever hear anything about you. So I said, okay, to prevent this, I'm gonna confess to this crime. I know I'm telling the truth. I would love to do that before I die. I had a relationship to God when I got in here, but somehow I've lost it. I guess I'm still reaching out to find it, you know. They say that the kingdom of God is within you, isn't it? You know, everybody's looking for something outward, but that light's within you. That voice you hear speaking to yourself, come on, boy. Give you the chills when I say that, right?
If I only had the power of the Spirit, I would lay my hands on her and her illness would disappear.
Well, remember in the beginning of the rehearsal process, I said, I'm the midwife, and we're going to give birth to this play. And just keep in mind, there is no birth without pain. But Mo, as I told you the other day, this particular baby, it's been hard labor and a breech birth, but,
And there's twins.
but the baby's beautiful.